All right, so over the past few years, I've had quite a few people reach out to me and ask how we do something like this. So this is just a tool that I like to use where it's got the sideline camera and the end line view synced up. So um, it works as a good training tool for us. And you can see the distance on and off the net and still get the traditional end line camera view. So I can see something like that, see how far the set is off the net, and see what we're doing with how we're playing volleyball. It just worked well as a training tool and see a lot of those things. So I'm going to walk us through how to do that. Both of the universities that I've been at the last several years have had a license for Adobe Creative Cloud. So within that, I use Adobe Premiere Pro. So if I were to open Adobe Premiere Pro, start a new project, this will be spring match. And since I've already done this, it's going to ask me to replace the previous one. So this is the home screen. I usually just skip this and come straight to the work screen. Within that, I've got our videos that we want to use. So the way I do it, and maybe you have a better system, I like to do the end line on the bottom and then the sideline over the top of it. With this, I'm also going to include a second end line view, and reason for that is the scoreboard in the background. So first thing I'm going to do is work on the scoreboard, kind of get that out of the way. I click on that and then effect controls, and the effect controls are where I get to do all the work, where I get to reposition it, resize it, and it's easiest sometimes to just kind of click around and play with numbers a little bit. So I think I want to make that a little bit bigger than what it was, so that's why I put it at 150 times or 150% of its original size. So just to make that a little bit bigger. And then I'll position that along the right part of the screen. You can do it on the left, you can do it on the bottom, kind of whatever you want. So I've got it positioned where I want it to be, and I get to crop it. So I just happen to know that I want to crop that at 44% from the left. From the bottom, I think it was like 93%, maybe 94%. So now I have the scoreboard and it's positioned pretty much where I want it to. With the sideline camera, so I admittedly didn't do the best job of trimming off the edges of this. So I think I can actually leave this sideline view at 100% of its scale. What I'm going to do though is slide it way up. I'm going to crop a little from the sides as well, just because I like it when it's clean and flush with what the end line view will look like, and that's going to be shrunk a little bit. So from there, I'm going to crop it along the left side to, looks like 7% on the left. From the right, I might have to go a little bit more, maybe 9%. That makes it a little bit better, and I will end up repositioning it some, and that's all right. From the bottom, I think I want to crop it around 19, maybe 19.5%, just so I have a little bit of the sideline view of it. I can see the sideline, but not too much of it. And then going to work on the end line camera. I think I can do, say, 88%, maybe 86%. Probably down to 85. And then move that down to the bottom so I can just see the end line, but I don't want to see too much beyond the end line. And I'd say that's pretty good for the dimensions. I am going to move the sideline view a little bit just so it becomes a little bit more flush, and then maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. So 101, and I think that looks to be about right. almost pretty flush with the other ones. And then I'll move the scoreboard down a little bit just so it's not impacting the view at all. Again, I like putting it over on this side where the down ref is, and it's not really obstructing any of the playing. So now that I've got the screen set up the way that I want to, we'll work on syncing things together. So I have kept the audio files down here because the end line view and the scoreboard view are going to be the same audio file. I can remove the one with the scoreboard, or I can remove the one with the end line. The first thing I'm going to do is unlink that one and then cut it. If I didn't unlink it, it would remove both the scoreboard and the like the picture of it and the video file. So now that I've got just these two, I want to work to line up these video files, and we can kind of see the picture of this dip or just any dip that you see that might line up. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to shrink the sideline view a little bit until I get it all lined up. So now that I can kind of see these audio files are somewhat getting aligned, I can continue to zoom in on the timeline and really get a much clearer picture. So I think I'm still a few seconds off where this spike lines up with that spike and so on and so forth. And like every time you zoom in somewhere, you can kind of see where the spikes might line each other up. And it just takes a little bit of practice to see what the picture is. So I'm probably like 3/100ths of a second off. So I'm probably pretty close here. But if I line everything up, you can see a much clearer picture of the sound waves and how they're lining up. So it's not going to be perfect right from the start. And that's when I start to use the pictures of it. So then I'm going to make the sideline view back to full again. I'm going to remove one of these audio links. I typically remove the sideline one. I don't have a reason, but it's just that it's easier for me. So now I'm only working with one. It's close enough where I think these videos are going to be within 1/100th of a second of each other, maybe 2/100ths of a second. And what I tend to look for when I'm doing this is serves that hit the net. So that has been the easiest way, I think, to figure out when something happens. Like you can do someone attacking the ball, someone serving the ball, but I've found that the balls hitting the net are some of the best ones to actually sync it up. So it looks like we have a good one right here. So I'll see a serve coming through, and it's that ball, and that ball's also up in there. So as I'm going through, I see the ball approaching the net, not quite in the net yet, not quite in the net. Looks like the next frame, that ball is going to be in the net, and it is. And I'm off here. That ball has not yet hit the net. So the end line view is slightly ahead of the sideline view. So one of the things I got to do is I got to shorten up that sideline view a little bit. I'll zoom in a little bit further. All right. And again, like I said, the end line view is slightly ahead. That frame is when it hits. So it looks like it's 1 or 2 frames that I have to move it. Notice how zoomed in I am here. So this zooms me out more. This zooms me in more. And as I'm moving this, I'm going to want to move it 2/100ths of a second. So I haven't moved it at all. Oops. I clicked the wrong one. So I haven't moved it all. Now I see that I've moved it 1/100th of a second. Now 2/100ths of a second. And you can see that a little bit. So I'm going to go back through it. Watch this as I'm going. And as the ball's approaching the net, it looks to be perfectly lined up. We see that ripple in the net happen within the same frame now. So now that these are synced up, I can pretty much cut out all of the boring, pointless stuff on both those. So they're synced up. I'm going to trim by grabbing the edges of these and bring them all flush with the same thing, and then select all three, drag them back to the start. So because I recorded these both on iPads, it's going to be about the same throughout. So I'll find a place late in the match and just watch a little bit of it just to make sure that it is relatively synced up. So, I mean, that's pretty good with the serve contact. It looks like they missed a serve, picked a bad point. Another missed serve. Welcome to Moorhead State Volleyball. We love our missed serves. I mean that completely. All right, so we got that kid serving back there. It looks to be pretty synced. She's making contact with the ball just barely there. So this one's probably like a split second behind, but it's rarely going to be perfect. If we go frame by frame, we can see the pass is happening and the pass is happening. So again, pretty good. Other good places to do are when the ball's hitting the ground, so that's another option. But that is pretty well synced. So the next piece, because we don't need all of this stuff, I want to start trimming the fat and trimming the files. Like if you're planning to upload this to Volleymetrics, you know that there's a 4 gigabyte window that you need to upload. So I'm trying to trim as much of the unnecessary stuff as possible from something like this before I upload it. So again, we're pretty good right here. I like to take out the time between sets. So that's another reason why I really like the scoreboard and the clock, is that I can figure that out much easier. So I find a spot, end of the first set, there's a little bit of a lull. I picked this razor tool to cut things up. So I'm gonna cut 1, 2, and 3 all at the same spot. And then I'm going to find the point where we get back into actually playing of the volleyball using this timeline. So back there, I'm going to drag 1, 2, and 3. So then I'm going to select all 3 again and bring them back. You can add a buffer if you want here. I tend to not do that just because I don't need to. And again, finding the point between sets 2 and 3 now where I can trim some time, and this is where we do that. Again, selecting the razor tool, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to find the point where we get back to being on the court, and I'm saving us a few minutes of time by doing that. But as we know, all of the gigabytes required, it can be valuable that way. So now I have my match pretty much synced the way that I want to. Go to export, and from here I may still have to trim the file some more. So the estimated file size is 10,000 megabytes. So I know I need to get that down to about 4,000 megabytes. So the way I'm going to do that is, if you want to take the audio out, you can take the audio out completely. That doesn't save a whole lot, as you see. Where you're going to save the most is the video settings. There might be a better way to do this. I'm going to click more right here and then come down to the point where the target bit rate. I think I probably need to cut this at least in half, probably down to 8, and that gets me to 4,307 megabytes, so which is about 4 gigabytes. And then from here, I will choose the location that I want to export. I typically come here to videos again in Marshall in the same thing, and I'll go double cam and I will save it there and then start the export. Depending on how long the match is, depends on how long this is going to take. It can take maybe a faster computer, maybe it only takes you 45 minutes. For this one, it takes me a little bit more time. As you know, it starts with 2 hours. It's probably going to go up to 2.5, maybe even 3 hours. But that's just kind of how I go about doing it.